The Green Lantern Chronicles, Big Bad Wolf, written by Jarvis B. Chavez. That last blaster was too close. Ring, have you been able to contact the Green Lantern of this sector for assistance?
No, Jessica Cruz of Earth. The Green Lantern of this sector is not responding to the core hail.
Great! This is what I get for answering a distress call outside my sector. I was on my way home from OA when I intercepted a distress call coming in from this area. What do I get as soon as I arrive? Ambushed by a sizable warship who starts firing on me immediately. These must be the pirates the distress call talked about. I have read various reports of mercenaries taking over these smaller solar systems as temporary bases of operations. I need to try and de-escalate the situation before employing other measures. Ring, open communications with the ship.
Why not? Couldn't hurt. Opening communication with war vessel.
Hostile vessel, in the name of the Green Lantern Corps, cease fire. Surrender and prepare to be boarded. You are in violation of the law. You will be arrested and bound over for trial on OA. The laser fire stopped.
Wow. You mean that really worked?
I'm as surprised as you are. All of a sudden, the laser fire resumed and intensified. To make matters worse, a group of small single-manned fighters emerged from the warship's underbelly. They all started firing on me. How wonderful is this? Ring, give me a tactical analysis of the incoming fighters.
There are a total of 6 fighters closing in on your location. My analysis concludes that a concentrated blast to the panel above the right wing would be the most effective way of disabling them.
All right, let's show them what we've got. Ring, increase power to my energy shield. I flew toward the first ship. I took 2 direct hits to my shield.
Alert! You have 49% of power remaining, Jessica.
I managed to maneuver under the fighter and come up on its right side, blasting it with my power ring. The ship powered down and began floating in space. I then generated a tractor beam from my ring, tethering the disabled ship, and flung it at the other incoming 5 fighters. This caused the ships to scatter and break their attack formation. This will make it easier to pick them off one by one. I immediately cut through 2 of the fighters with a ray from my power ring. The other 3 fighters regrouped and flew towards me at an alarming rate. Ring, target power core of the middle ship.
I have locked on to targeted area.
I fired the power blast towards the ship. It blew up in a massive explosion, taking out the remaining fighters.
We did it, Jessica!
Thanks, Ring. Before I could finish my sentence, I was hit from behind by an enormous power blast that propelled me forward several feet. The only thing that saved me was my force field.
Alert! Alert! That direct hit has reduced my power level to 40%.
I turned to find the massive warship was bearing down on me. It looked like it was firing all its forward batteries at me at the same time.
Jessica, we cannot afford to take many more direct hits like that.
Don't worry, Ring. I have not yet begun to fight.
Now would be a great time to start.
I have a plan. Ring, increase power to the forward shields.
Wait, Jessica, what are you thinking of doing?
I took a deep breath and calmed myself. What is it they say about fear? If something scares you, don't run away from it, but rather, you run towards it. Charge!
What? No, don't. Oh, I can't look.
I flew toward the ship's bridge. I dodged and weaved my way through the enemy fire. As we reached the ship, I phased through the ship's hull and quickly found myself on the bridge. I was confronted by a small ragtag group of assorted aliens. My, aren't you a handsome lot of cutthroats and thieves? They all drew their weapons at me. I also see you're a friendly lot as well. I smiled at them. The disgusting half-humanoid and half-machine lump in the captain's chair spoke first.
I am Orr, the master of this vessel. I take orders from no one, least of all the likes of you, Lantern scum. You and your corps do not scare us. We take what we want and destroy those who get in our way.
You have committed unspeakable crimes and will have to be punished for them. Surrender now, Org, or live with the consequences.
It also looks like besides having no sense, Lantern, you don't know how to count. We have you outnumbered. Prepare to die.
Bug off, Org. I released a swarm of green beetle constructs from my ring at the crew. While the crew was preoccupied with swatting at the swarm, I engaged each member of the crew in hand-to-hand combat. I managed to get the upper hand, and as I punched out one of the last of the crew, a power blast shattered my swarm. It was Org with an energy cannon, which had emerged from his wide metallic chest.
Do you really think you can ever get the best of me, Lantern? I am more machine than weak and fragile flesh.
More machine than man, huh, Org? I nodded my head. Good to know. I smiled at Org. I created an electromagnetic pulse with my ring and sent it through Org's cybernetic body. An EMP can temporarily upset or permanently damage electronic equipment. Org's body shut down, and he fell to the floor. He resembled a turtle on his back. Maybe don't tell people your weaknesses right off the bat. The flesh part of his face was the only thing he could move. Org managed to let out a rather pathetic,
Hey, I can't move. No fair.
Org, you are no General Zod. Another stupid criminal brought to justice. At that moment, a massive explosion went off, and a huge hole opened on the deck of the ship and sucked out Org and his crew. I held onto the ship's control console to avoid being sucked out. I filled the hole with an energy construct. The ship repressurized the bridge and engaged the anti-gravity.
Warning! Several of your prior laser blasts have damaged the ship. They have managed to set off a series of explosions. The ship has lost all flight capabilities. As a result, we have fallen into the planet's gravitational pull and cannot break free. In short, the ship is crashing.
Nothing but great news for you today, Ring.
I also need to mention that the ship's shields are also failing, and the remaining 3 escape pods have been jettisoned.
Enough, Ring. I get it. Up the creek without a paddle.
Hey, I only report the news. I don't make it.
Remind me to reprogram your interface when we get home. I sat behind the controls of the ship. The instrument panel was not responding. Looks like we have a problem, Ring.
The ship has entered the planet's atmosphere. The temperature of the outer hull is incrementing at an alarming rate.
Another piece of the bridge broke off. I had to plug it with another power construct.
The ship is starting to lose its structural integrity.
Are there any more life forms aboard this ship?
None detected.
Is there anything in the ship's path?
There is nothing in between the ship and the projected impact area.
Perfect. It's time to abandon ship, Ring. Let's fly to the surface and wait for help.
We have another problem. There is not enough power left in the ring to make a successful flight. I would suggest relying on your shield and gliding down to the planet's surface. You should just about make it.
This day just keeps on getting better and better. Just as I finished saying that, the ceiling of the bridge started to fly off in big chunks. I again held onto the ship's control panel in an attempt to avoid being sucked out into deep space.
The ship is burning up on re-entry.
Ring, divert all remaining power in my ring to my shield.
Diverting all power to shield.
I took another deep breath. Let's do this! Then I let go of the ship's console and was sucked out of the ship. I spun out of control for a couple seconds, but managed to tumble in the right position, facing forward.
Alert! Power level at 21%. Your shield is consuming a lot of power, making necessary adjustment to conserve power to safely get you to the planet's surface.
Ring? I just felt a great increase in the temperature. What's going on?
Sorry, Jessica, but it is necessary that I minimize the intensity of the shield in order to have enough power to safely get you down to the surface. I have tried to minimize your discomfort. What is the expression on Earth? Oh, yes. Grin and bear it.
Please don't barbecue me, Ring. I began to feel the beads of sweat form on my forehead.
Jessica, We are now 19,000 feet from the projected landing site. You should experience a reduction in body temperature.
I started to cool down. Ring! Now it's getting too cold.
I am too hot. I am too cold. So, it's always about you and your needs. There really is no pleasing you, is there? You ever think of me and my needs? No. I guess we know who the nurturing partner is in this relationship.
Really, are we doing this now? Let's just concentrate on getting down safely, shall we?
Warning. Power level at 17%. We are at 1,500 feet and falling.
The planet's surface was getting closer and closer.
Brace yourself for landing.
As I got closer, my energy shield caused me to bounce off the surface of the planet like a rubber ball. Then on the fourth bounce, the ring shut off the shield completely and I hit the ground hard. That hurt, Ring.
What is it they say? Any landing you can walk away from is a good one? You're welcome.
As I was about to reprimand my ring for being a smartass, my construct Green Lantern uniform disappeared off me. I found myself once again in my red t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers. I rubbed my shoulder, which I banged on that last bounce. I found myself on a mostly barren planet with sparse vegetation on it.
Warning! Power level at 9%.
Ring switched to power saving mode.
Powering down.
Finally, some peace and quiet, I thought. My priority is to find food and shelter. Maybe I can find a settlement with communications capability so I could contact the core. I was still holding out hope that the Green Lantern of this sector would come looking for me. He may have been tied up on another important matter. Whatever the case, maybe I needed to get somewhere before nightfall. I headed north from my position. I guess I am stranded here on a distant planet, billions of miles from home, with no visible means of escape. Just another reason why I should have stayed in bed. I walked for several hours. Just as the sun was setting, I eyed a metallic structure far off in the distance. It was in the middle of a forested area surrounded by strange-looking vegetation. As I made my way towards the structure, I began having this uneasy feeling that I was being watched. A few times I thought I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. I was now able to make out the structure in front of me. It looked like a small base of some sort. A single building of prefabricated construction, by the looks of it. As I walked toward the structure, I thought I heard a twig snap in the shrubs. I looked back briefly, then continued to walk. I quickly stopped and heard more twigs snapping, as if someone was hiding behind the trees. I began to run towards the structure without looking back. I heard a sound like something was crashing its way through the woods towards me. I heard a loud howling right behind me. I turned to see a dark figure looming over me. I saw a big clawed hand come down at me. Ay, caramba! I barely got my shield up in time. It was impossibly fast. The blow sent me flying several feet before hitting the ground. I rolled with the momentum as I was taught and got up off the ground in a crouched position, ready to defend myself. I looked up at this thing. It looked like a werewolf from one of those horror movies. It was about 7 feet tall with dark fur. It was broad and all muscle. It lunged at me at a very high rate of speed. I just managed to get out of its way. As I turned to face it, I raised my ring and took aim at it. Then a red power bolt came out of nowhere and blasted the thing in the face, causing its head to explode. I looked behind me and saw this pink-skinned humanoid with a laser rifle continue to shoot his weapon in my direction. He yelled out,
"Behind you!"
I turned and saw another one of those things running towards me through the forest. The humanoid motioned at me to go through the open door and into the base. I ran to the base.
Warning! Power level at 7%.
Ring, switch to off.
Are you all right?
Yes, and thank you for saving my life.
My name is Zamron, and I am a Landorian. I was the head mining engineer of this planet until... Wait. You wear the ring of the Green Lantern Corps. Are you here to help us? Is more help on the way?
After I calmed Zamron down, I explained to him about getting the distress call and my encounter with Org and his crew. I also had to tell him of my narrow escape, which led to depletion of most of the energy in my power ring. I was afraid that I, too, was stranded here, hoping for help from the Lantern of this sector.
So, my men did get out a distress call after all. I had lost hope after they had failed to return several days ago. I just had thought they had failed in their task and had been taken prisoners. Or worse.
What are those things that attacked me out there? Are they the indigenous life on this planet?
No. When the pirates took over this planet, they brought the Ryer Wolves with them.
What's a Ryer Wolf?
A lycanthrope life form from the planet Ryer. They were chosen by an interplanetary biotech conglomerate as a durable life form perfect for cloning. They are used on different worlds as a cheap form of slave labor in construction, mining, and agriculture. Mercenaries use them as small armies. With the right hormonal therapy and other enhancements, they become the monstrous muscle behind small world conquest. Org chose this planet because it only had a small mining colony on it of some 100 men and their families. We had very few weapons. My men are miners, not trained soldiers. We didn't stand a chance when they invaded us. The Ryer Wolves killed most of us in less than a day. A small group of us that survived barricaded ourselves here in the administration center. We made a plan to make a run for the communication tower on the other side of the mining pit. It was no easy task, considering that Ryer Wolves patrol the colony on a regular basis. The only ones left are my daughter, Erna, who is 10 in your Earth years, and myself. Luckily, my wife is back on the home world on rotation and due to join us in another month. She, too, is an engineer.
Where is your daughter now?
She's currently locked in the center's galley. I left her there when the center's outer sensors alerted me to your presence outside our walls. That reminds me, we must make the proper introductions to each other. Come this way.
What have you brought me, Remus? He threw a large bag tied at the top with a rope.
I found him near the mountains surrounding the mining pit. His pod had crashed. He was trapped and could not release himself from his craft.
I grabbed the bag and tore it apart with my claws. The contents of the bag fell on the ground. It was reptilian and one of Org's crew. I grabbed him by the neck and threw him against a cave wall. Speak, Reptoid. What happened to Org?
My name is Veru, and I was the crew chief on board Org's ship. We were attacked by a female Green Lantern. She crippled the ship and killed Org and the crew of the bridge single-handedly.
A single female did what? You lie. Did Org decide to leave us here to rot after taking all the ore that we found on this planet for himself?
No, your pack member found me in an escape pod. I and 2 others escaped. They managed to make it to hyperspace. My pod malfunctioned and dropped back to the planet. Your pack member went through the pod's computer. He can verify my story.
Is this true, Remus?
Aye, it is. The pod's computer log verifies his story.
Another pack member came running into the cave. It was Scar, one of my group leaders.
Sorry to disturb you, my leader. I bring news. I spotted an unidentified female by the administration center. One of my pack and I, while on patrol, came upon her. She's not Landorian and possibly Terran. She wielded a Green Lantern power ring. She seemed to be working together with a Landorian survivor. One of the Landorian males shot and killed my pack member.
Those cursed green lanterns. Will we ever be rid of them? She's probably here to rally the survivors and help them regain control of the planet. Or possibly preparing them for the arrival of the Green Lantern Army. Whatever the case may be, we must eliminate her immediately. Her and her ring are nothing but trouble. As for you, Viru, I believe you.
Oh, thank you, O benevolent one.
You're welcome. Remus, execute him.
But I told you the truth.
Yes, but you are a coward who ran in the face of battle. You are useless to me, Reptoid. Remus, kill him in front of me.
No!
May I introduce my daughter, Erna? Erna, this is Jessica Cruz, one of the Green Lantern Corps.
A small girl, around 4 feet tall, stuck out her hand and smiled at me. Pleased to meet you, Jessica. Are you here to help us? Yes, I'm here to assist you and your father in any way I can. That's terrific because we could really use all the help we can get.
The truth that springs forth from the mouth of innocence. I am afraid she is right, Jessica. My daughter and I would appreciate any help you can render to us.
We need a plan. Is there any way to get away from here?
There, maybe. Come with me and let me show you something.
We went up to the roof of the center. Zamron pulled out what looked like a pair of modern-looking binoculars. He put them to his face and pressed some buttons on the side of them.
Here, look at this.
He handed me the device. They were indeed some type of field glasses. I put them up close to my eyes. I saw an up-close shot of a group of Ryer Wolves walking down some street in front of a small hangar.
For the last 3 nights, I have busied myself with observing the colony in hopes of spotting my men. I have observed the wolves' patrol pattern. If I am correct, there is an open window of 2 hours during the night in which they are far enough away from the colony transport hangar that someone could sneak in and access the colony shuttle. It is not meant for space. At the very least, it might get us out of here and east of here to a colonial automated substation, where there's another emergency transmitter we could use to call for help. As the head mining engineer, I have the access codes to all the colonial buildings. I didn't dare try this alone, but since you are here, 2 people would have a better chance.
I agree. Let's do this.
Romulus, we have intercepted transmissions coming in from the nearby planetary system. It appears that a small contingent of Green Lanterns are on the planet Raxlor, trying to re-establish order after a failed insurrection attempt of the government there.
They are too close. They're within striking distance of us. We need to find that lantern and dispose of her before she can contact the core. Continue to jam all communications leaving the planet. Alert all patrols to report back anything, no matter however insignificant they think it is.
Yes, Romulus. It shall be done.
I was gathering some supplies from the storage room for our trip to the hangar. I saw little Erna staring down at her doll. Are you okay, Erna? You look sad. I am not sad. Then what's wrong? Are you afraid of the Ryer Wolves? A little, but I am afraid of the dark. Father says we will have to travel at night to avoid being spotted by the wolves. You know what? It's okay to be scared. It's a natural reaction to what's going on. It is? I am not a baby for it? No. The important part is that you cannot let it stop you from living your life. What do you mean? something like fear keeps you from enjoying anything you care for or the people you love, then you have let fear be more important than what you love. You have, in a sense, let your fear lock you away in a room where you separate yourself from everyone and everything. It is sometimes hard to get yourself to open that door and let yourself face both the good and the bad that this world has to offer. Don't let fear take the love from your life. I never thought of it that way. I will not fear the darkness because I love my father more. I gave her a hug. I am hungry. Let's get something to eat. We walked to the dining area where Zamron was sitting unpacking a container.
I hope you like emergency rations. I'm afraid that's all we have to offer.
You wouldn't have pancakes on the menu, would you?
What?
I smiled. Never mind. Anything would be great. After scanning the food quickly with my ring to make sure I could eat it, I devoured all they put in front of me. Afterwards, Zamron showed me to my quarters.
I will wake you in 5 hours. Try to get some rest. We will need it.
I said my goodnights to both of them and went to bed. We started off for the hangars at 2 a.m. Zamron made us wear these hazmat suits that are used for gas leaks in the mines. They had a thin type of armor plating that would give us some protection from the wolves. They even came in earnest size. Zamron gave me a laser rifle and showed me how to use it. The administration center was outside the actual colony. The mine was past the colony. The hangar bay was almost right smack in the middle of the colony. We would have to walk several miles to get there. Luckily, Zamron had mapped out and timed the patrols well enough that we could avoid running into the wolves. We entered the colony just before sunrise.
Beyond this path is the hangar bays. We will enter through the main door, then through to the first of 5 hangars. I just hope there is at least one ship left to transport us away from here.
We all ran to the door. Zamron accessed the control panel and entered his code. The door slid open. We ran in, and Zamron closed the door behind us. The interior of the hangar was well lit and seemed undisturbed. Zamron commented it was a good sign that it looked intact. He and fellow colony administrators were the only ones who could enter the hangar. He rushed us through the next door. As he opened it, we were shocked by what we saw. The shuttle was ripped to pieces. Pieces had been thrown about left and right. We looked up at the ceiling. The hatch where the shuttles exited from had been pulled back like a sardine can.
The Ryer Wolves must have entered through there to disable the craft.
As we went around the other side of the rubble, we saw the door leading to the next hangar. It had been ripped open. Great! More good news.
We must prepare ourselves for the possibility that none of the shuttles may be operational.
What does that mean? That means we would have to return to the administration building, honey. So, we are not leaving this horrible place? Maybe not, sweetie. I heard scratching coming from somewhere. The third hangar was the same story. The wolves had torn apart the shuttle. I then heard something that sounded like rain or small pebbles hitting the roof as we ran to the door for the fourth shuttle. The doorway was intact.
Oh, glory be. The door is unopened. There may be hope yet.
Zamron quickly entered his code. The door slid open.
Alert! Alert! Jessica, I detect a power ring signature coming from nearby.
The ring had turned itself back on. It was programmed to seek out other power rings in the nearby area. As we walked into the hangar, we saw the roof hatch closed. However, there was a hole in the back of the building. In the middle of the hangar was the shuttle that looked like something had fallen on it. As we drew closer, we saw a faint green light emanating from it.
The power signature is coming from inside the shuttle.
I took off my helmet. As I stepped closer, I saw the figure of a large, multi-armed being in a Green Lantern uniform.
I am the ring of the Green Lantern of Sector 3168, Yi-Pod Ram. He was mortally wounded by a large pack of Ryer Wolves. I have managed to sustain him on life support. He is now near death. I do not have enough energy to signal for assistance. Status update on medical condition. Yeepot Rom has now expired.
No! I then heard a mighty roar come from outside the hole on the hangar wall. It was 3 Ryer Wolves. Ring, take the remaining energy from Yeepot Rom's power ring now!
Transferring power.
No. Wait. Commencing selection process for new Green Lantern of this sector.
Sorry, but it's an emergency. My Green Lantern uniform reappeared on me. The wolves jumped through the hole. Erna, get behind me. Zamrod and I shot our laser rifles at them.
I feel fantastic. Don't worry, Jessica. I got this.
My hand dropped the rifle and my hand and arm thrusted forward. The ring began to discharge power bolts of green energy and dropped all 3 wolves in seconds. Ring, stop!
Sorry about that, Jessica. I just got carried away. My bad. I just haven't been this energized in days. Oh, yeah, I feel good.
I immediately turned and removed Yee's body from the shuttle. I moved the shuttle with a power beam from my ring. I crammed the wreckage into the hole in the wall. I heard a horrible noise of twisting metal. I looked up and saw the wolves peeling back the ceiling hatch. I created green cluster bomb constructs with my ring and hurled them at the wolves. They exploded and they retreated. I bent the hatch back into place with a ray from my ring. I welded the sides to secure it. I heard laser fire coming from outside.
This is Romulus, the leader of the Ryer Wolves. Lantern, we have you surrounded. Let's stop playing games. We outnumber you. Resistance is futile, Lantern. It is only a matter of time until we force our way in. Come out now.
That's funny. That's what your friend Orc said. And by now, you know what happened to him. Of course, he had one advantage over you.
What's that?
He wasn't a mindless beast, you stupid clone. I laughed. I am not really that girl. But I needed to get him riled up so he would be blinded by rage and make a mistake.
I will feast on the meat of your bones for that lantern!
Intense laser fire began to bombard us. Wolves on Earth are canines. I just wonder... Ring, I'm thinking of an object. Create me a construct from it. The ring produced a dog whistle. I put it to my lips and blew on it.
I hear that irritating little noise you're creating, but it's not enough to stop me from devouring you whole, Lantern.
Oh well, it was worth a shot.
We don't have enough power to hold them off for long. After conducting a scan on the laser rifles, I am afraid they too will run out of rounds soon. We will be rendered defenseless.
I know, Ring. Zamron, I can create a diversion long enough for you and Erna to escape.
It will not be necessary. We will not run. We will stand by your side and share the same fate.
Very well. Zamron and Erna, it will be my honor to fight to the end with both of you. I shot 2 holes in the wall so Zamron and I could fire at the wolves. Then, green laser bolts came raining down from the sky. It was coming from a group of 10 green lanterns. Yes! The cavalry had arrived. I saw Kilowog and Simon Baz among them. Kilowog landed on top of Romulus's head and began to pound on him.
It's clobbering time!
Simon, my fellow Green Lantern from Earth, started to trade blows with Remus.
We are saved, Erna!
Thank goodness, Father. Romulus came flying through the wall of the hangar. As he got up, dazed and confused from the rubble, I flew towards him. I smiled at his fat, furry face. I have a question for you, Romulus. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Answer, not me. This is for the killing of the colonists. I punched him square in his gut. It temporarily knocked the wind out of him. Then I quickly followed up with an uppercut to his jaw, knocking him off his feet. That was for the death of Yeepot Rom. Next time, pick on someone your own size, furball.
They should hold you.
Kilowog imprisoned him in a power construct of a cage. Simon walked into the hangar. He was dragging the unconscious body of Remus behind him.
Are you okay, Jessica?
I'm all right now that you guys are here. I reported to them all that had happened, including the death of U-Pot Rom.
We picked up one of those escape pods from Org's ship on Raxlor. His crew member told us about your run-in with them. After trying to contact you to no avail, we came running.
We'll finish rounding up the rest of the Ryer Wolves and send for a prison ship from Oa to take them back for processing. Then, we'll give U-Pot Rom a proper burial. I'll take his ring back with me for recharging and reassignment.
After saying my goodbyes to Zamron and Erna, I recharged my ring with Simon's help. The Corps returned to Raxlor to tie up a few loose ends. I flew out of the planet's atmosphere. Okay, Ring. Plot a course for home.
Course laid in and ready, Jessica.
I looked down at the planet and up at the vastness of space.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
All right, Ring. Let's go home.